Welcome to the 10th video of our series Becoming a Lead GA. My name is Rishabh and I'm an architect based out of New Delhi. I'm a lead AP in building design and construction, and I'm a well AP also. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about sustainable sites. So before beginning further, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us grow. And this is a social initiative where we are trying to build a community of green building professionals to help mitigate climate change and build more responsibly. So let's begin with the topic, sustainable sites. So site design is one of the most crucial factor of any building project. Considering the local bioregion, watershed, and community can help a project team maximize the sustainable features of the project and minimize the project impact on the surroundings. The sustainable sites category in LEED version 4 addresses the environmental impact of the site design and management, rainwater management, urban heat island effect, and light pollution of a building site. There are total two prerequisites and six credits required in sustainable sites category, which we will discuss in detail. The maximum points achievable under this category are 10. So before proceeding ahead, let me clarify what are prerequisites and what are credits. So prerequisites are basically the points that a project has to comply with mandatorily to qualify for a LEED certification. The projects are not given any points for it and they are mandatory to comply with, while credits are the points for the project that has an option to comply with and are given points for it. So now let's go credit by credit. So the first credit under this category is construction activity pollution prevention. This is a prerequisite, or you can say a required credit. The project must comply to it in order to get LEED certification. No points are awarded for this. It's like the mandatory question in your question paper that you have to attempt. And before beginning, I request you to hit the subscribe button. It would really help us grow. And now let us understand the intent of the prerequisite first. The intent states to reduce pollution from construction activity by controlling soil erosion, waterway sedimentation, and airborne dust. As you can see in the image, the dust is flying in one of the construction sites in New Delhi. Due to such practices, the health of the workers and laborers on the site are affected and also causes air pollution. Most of the time, especially in Delhi, when the pollution levels cross the extreme threshold, the government has to ban all the construction activities in Delhi to reduce air pollution immediately. So now let's understand how does LEED wants us to comply with this prerequisite. The first step would be to create and implement an erosion and sedimentation control plan for the construction activities. Please note that this must conform to 2012 US EPA standards or local equivalent. You must remember these standards are there as they're most likely to be tested during your exam. So now let's understand some strategies to reduce construction pollution. If you're an architect or a construction professional, you would already know all these things and you must be implementing them on the site also. So few easily implementable strategies include temporary or permanent seeding, mulching, earthen dikes, silt fencing, sediment traps, and sediment basins. So as you can see in the image, the first image on the left is of silt fencing and on the right is of mulching. The other involves the development of ESC plan, also known as Erosion Sedimentation Control Plan. It should contain timing of implementation, specific control measures to be applied on site, and a maintenance protocol. This is usually done for big sites, and it's quite effective. And please pause the video here and take down notes of these notes to remember for a LEED Green Associate exam. I'm still repeating again. You need to remember all the standards that we'll be talking about in this video and the future videos also. Moving on to the first credit in the category, which is site assessment. We are skipping the prerequisite of environmental site assessment for now, as it is only required for healthcare and school projects only. So let's understand the intent of the site assessment. The intent of site assessment is to assess site conditions before design, to evaluate sustainable options, and to inform related decisions about the site. Imagine you're planning to build something awesome like a playground or a building. But before you start, you need to check out the place where you want to build it. That's what site assessment is all about. It's like exploring the area and understanding what's there, like the soil, trees, and surrounding. By doing this, you can figure out the best way to design your project in a way that is good for environment and makes it even makes place more sustainable. For example, let's say if I'm doing a farmhouse in a rocky area, so the first choice of a building material for me should be stones, as they're locally available and easy to source. Moving further, so I only come to know about this when I do the site assessment. So sorry, moving further. Now let's understand the requirement for site assessment credit. Project will have to start early as a pre-design to assess potential sites for development. Assessment should include the following items such as topography, which shall have contour mapping, unique topographical features, slope stability risk, hydrology mapping, which shall have flood hazard zones, delineated wetlands, lakes, streams, shorelines, rainwater collection, and reuse opportunities. Climate study covering solar exposure, heat island effect, potential, seasonal sun angle, prevailing wind directions, monthly precipitation, and temperature ranges. Vegetation study, which covers primary vegetation types, greenfield area, significant tree mapping, threatened or endangered species, unique habitat, invasive plant species. Soil study, which checks the quality of soil. Human use study, which lays emphasis on views, adjacent transportation infrastructure, adjacent properties, construction material, and existing recycle and reuse potential. And the last is human health effect assessment, which covers proximity of vulnerable population, adjacent physical activity opportunities, proximity to major source of air pollution, such as they can be a factory near your site or some treatment plant or something. So you need to be aware about all these things. I hope you understand this credit. Please pause the video and take down the notes for your purpose of your exam. I hope you're enjoying the video. Don't forget to check out the question bank. Link is in description. Please hit like and subscribe also. It will really help us create more content. Moving on to the second credit in the category, which is site development to protect and restore. This is going to be a long, so please go and sip some water before beginning this. Let's begin with the intent of the credit: site development to protect and restore. The intent states to conserve existing natural areas and restore damaged areas to provide habitat and promote biodiversity. It encourages project teams to designate the areas as protected habitat and open space for the life of the project. When building on previously developed or disturbed site, the project team should consider on-site restoration. Restoring native soil, plants, and hydrology helps to maintain overall ecosystem health. Now let's understand the requirement for this credit. The first mandatory requirement for this credit is to preserve and protect 40% greenfield area on the site from all development and construction activity. Let's understand what is a greenfield area. It is the site that has never been built on or developed for human use. So after this requirement has been met, the project team gets two options to comply with the credit. In the first option, when developing on previously developed site, consider restoring soils, hydrology, and native plants. Using native or adapted vegetation, restore 30%, including building footprint of all previously developed land. Project that achieve 1.5 FAR may include vegetated roof surfaces. So this is one way to comply with the credit. Let's recap. First, we need to meet the mandatory requirement of protecting and preserving 40% greenfield area from all the construction, and then use option 1 to restore soil and plants. Moving on to the second option for the credit, which is the financial support. Provide financial support equivalent to at least 40 cents for $0.4 per square foot for total site area. The financial support must be provided to nationally or locally recognized land trust or conservation organization. For US projects, the land trust must be accredited with Land Trust Alliance. You should remember this term. That's pretty much for site development, protect, and restore credit. Please pause the video and take note of the following things for a LEED Green Associate exam. Please remember all the terms which are Greenfield area, Land Trust Alliance, and all these figures you must remember for your purpose of your exam. Now that you understand site development, let's do a quick quiz. Land trust must be credited to which organization? The options are Land Trust Organization, Land Trust Alliance, US EPA, GBCI, and none of the above. I hope you get this correct, and the correct answer is Land Trust Alliance. I request you all to check the question man that I've created for you, and the link is in description. If you're finding the video informative, please press the subscribe button, and it really helps us grow further. Moving on to the third credit in this category, which is open space. Let us begin by understanding the intent of the credit open space. The intent states to create exterior open spaces that encourages interaction with the environment, social interaction, passive recreation, and physical activities. Open space contributes to supporting biodiversity, managing rainwater, and reducing heat island effect. Now let's understand the requirement for this credit. The requirement for the credit is fairly simple. Provide outdoor space greater than or equal to 30% of the total site area, including the building footprint. A minimum of 25% of that outdoor space must be vegetated with in which turf grass does not count as vegetation or have overhead vegetated canopy. And that's pretty much fairly simple and straightforward. Please pause the video and take note of the following. Okay, quiz time again. Time to check how much you understood about open spaces. What is the definition of open space as per LEED? The options are space within LEED project. Second is neighboring parks in 1 mile radius to the site main entry. Third is exterior spaces encouraging interaction with the environment. Fourth is vegetated roof spaces, and the fifth is unbuilt spaces in the project boundary. And the answer is simple one, and the answer is exterior spaces encouraging interaction with the environment, which is the intent of the credit open space. Do remember to check out the question bank. The link is in description. Moving on to the fourth credit in this category, which is rainwater management. I'm sure as building design professional, we all know how to and why to manage rainwater, but let's understand from how LEED recommends us to do it. So as you can probably guess, the intent of the credit rainwater management is fairly simple: to reduce runoff volume and to improve water quality by replicating the natural hydrology and water balance of the site based on historical conditions and undeveloped ecosystems in the region. For this credit, before moving on to the requirement for the credit, it is very important to understand few rainwater management strategies. Two steps to approach where rainwater management can be used to earn points under this credit. The first step is to reduce the amount of impervious areas that cause excessive rainwater runoff, and the second step would be to manage the runoff by using green infrastructure and low impact development techniques. A comprehensive rainwater management program that uses both the methods to replicate natural hydrology and water balance on site can yield the highest returns. So the first strategy is to reduce impervious hardscape. There are many pervious surface alternatives that can be used in place of hardscapes to help manage rainwater at source and prevent runoff. The most popular choice of pervious surface for rooftop is green or vegetated roof. Installing beds of native and adapted plant species on the roof traps rainwater and prevents it from further running off the roof. Pervious surfaces for sidewalks and parking lots include porous pavements and grid pavers. The difficulty with porous surfaces is that they are permeable to water as well as salt and soil. The tiny openings in the porous material will clog up over time, and they must be cleaned to retain the permeability. Moving on to the second strategy, the implementing rainwater management. Collecting rainwater is a popular option to reduce rainwater runoff. Collected rainwater can be reused for irrigation, process water, or even flushing. The third strategy is to implementing passive rainwater management. A passive rainwater management system redirects rainwater to planted areas where it allows to saturate the soil. Redirecting rainwater into areas that are specially designed to filter and drain the water back into the earth is fundamental to retaining is fundamental to rainwater management. Sorry. Some examples of some examples are rain gardens, dry ponds, bioswales are landscape features designed to clean and hold rainwater and drain it back to the earth. The last strategy is to implement active rainwater management. An active rainwater harvesting system captures, stores, and later transports the rainwater by another means to desired applicable areas. For example, in desert area, during the dry months, when the groundwater level are low, the rainwater must be stored during the rainy months and be utilized during the dry months. That's all for rainwater management strategies. Please pause the video and take note of the strategies as they're very important for your exam and will really help you design better in the future projects also. Now, coming back to the requirement of the credit rainwater management, there are two options the project can comply to the requirement. The first option, the project needs to showcase successful rainwater management of rainwater runoff for either 95th percentile of the rain or 98th percentile of the rain. It can be 85th percentile also, but for that the project needs to be zero lot line. Zero lot line are those projects where the project has almost no open area or almost 90% is the built up area. The project needs to manage water using the strategies we learned before. The second option is natural land cover condition. It basically means to manage the amount of rainwater that was falling before development of site in the post development phase. You need not remember the requirement for this credit, but please remember the intent and the strategies adopted to manage the rainwater. Well, that was one long credit, so will be the this one, the fifth credit in this category, which is heat island reduction. So let's begin with the intent of the credit. The intent clearly states to minimize effects on microclimates and human and wildlife habitats by reducing the heat island. For those who don't know what is a heat island effect, it is basically an increase in microclimate temperature created from waste heat from human activity, building operation, and surfaces in the built environment that absorb sunlight. As you can see in the diagram, the temperature in the city will always remain higher than the rural and suburban areas purely due to heat island effect. City absorbs heat during the day and keeps on releasing it during the cooler period, which keeps the average temperature always higher. Now, before jumping to the requirement for the credit, it is very important to understand the strategies to reduce the heat island effect. The first strategy is to reduce exposed hardscape. Reducing exposed hardscape includes installing green roofs, using open grid paving, reducing shades for hardscapes using trees, foliage, landscaping, and other structure locating underground parking. So we are basically trying to shade the hardscapes or concrete areas that absorb heat. The second strategy is to use high reflectance material. Paving surfaces should have high solar reflectance, and solar materials and roof materials should have high solar reflectance index. High SRI surfaces reflect sunlight and reduce heat absorption from the sun. Materials with high SR or SRI are light colored reflective surfaces. For example, white roofing surface are often used to reflect sunlight and reduce heat gain. There are major two strategies used to reduce heat island effect. Please remember them for the purpose of your exam. Now moving on to the requirement of the credit. So there are basically two options to achieve this requirement, but you need not remember this for the purpose of your exam. None of these formulas are going to be tested. So, but they're basically one other non-roof measures and the other are the roof measures. And like we discussed, the non-roof measures are using plants, provide shade over paving areas, use architectural devices or structures such as solar generation, solar power generation, shade with vegetated surfaces, open grid pavement system. So these are basically non-roof measures, and the roof measures are using high reflectance material on the roof that reduce the heat gain or even a vegetated roof. The second option is the parking should be under cover, and that's what even we even discussed that try to put the parking in the basement so that so there's less paved area on the surface. So you can pause and you can note down the non-roof measures, the roof measures, and the parking strategy for the purpose of your exam. But do remember the intent also. The intent and the strategies are the most important for your LEED GA exam. Now let's do a quick quiz. A vegetated roof can achieve synergies across multiple credits by reducing what two impacts. The options are: first, light pollution; second, soil erosion; third, heat island effect; fourth is rainwater runoff; and the fifth is chlorofluorocarbon reduction. Remember that there are two correct options and you have to choose both. And the correct answer is R, heat island effect and rainwater runoff. Do check out the question bank link in the description, and I hope you got this correct. This the last credit is light pollution reduction. Yeah, you made it last credit. Pat yourself on the back. This is a fairly small credit, so uh, let's begin with the intent of the light pollution reduction credit. The intent states to increase night sky access, improve nighttime visibility, and reduce the consequences of development for wildlife and people. The credit encourages project teams to design lighting systems that reduce common types of light pollution, such as light trespass, glare, and uplight. Properly designed lighting systems reduce the need for artificial lighting, save energy, and minimize the light pollution. So again, we are going to discuss the strategies first, which are really important for your LEED GA exam. The first would be to install motion sensors and timers. They are they are lighting control that, along with efficient lighting distribution system, reduce the amount of light at times and in places that is not required. Areas where people may not be present for long periods of time are where the motion sensors and timers typically work the best, like in storerooms or in toilets. The elimination of unnecessary lighting can be accomplished by avoiding overlighting in an area, locating fixtures appropriately, and choosing smart fixtures. Strategic lighting design will help eliminate overlighting by locating fixtures correctly. You can do also daylight simulation or even artificial light simulation to see ki how much lux level are you achieving, and which is what and how much is recommended by the code. The back, uplight, and glare, also known as bug rating method, classifies luminaires according to their potential to generate light pollution. Bug rating offers a quick, useful way for the project team to assess and select lighting option with minimal impact. You can pause the video and take note of the following two strategies, which are very important for your LEED GA exam. Now moving ahead to the requirement of the credit, meet the uplight and the trespass light requirement using either bug method or calculated method. For the purpose of your exam, you need not know the calculation method, so we are going to skip in this video. If you are still curious, please visit the LEED website where you can find that information. Another important point to remember: do not exceed the luminaire applied rating as defined in IES TM 1511. Please take note of the standards being referred to as they're of utmost importance. Now there are three things as part of credit requirement. First is meet the applied requirement. Second being meet the light trespass requirement, and the final being meet the internally illuminated exterior signage requirement, which is 200 candela per square meter for night and 2000 candela per square meter during the day. So you can pause the video here and take the note of the following. And that's all for sustainable sites. If you have any doubts, feel free to contact me. And do not forget to check out the practice question bank, whose link is in description. It'll be really helpful for your LEED GA exam. And see you on the next video on water efficiency. Thank you.